That'll move us into road department.
Just want to let the board know, Foam Tight, they finished up our cold bay side with the insulation spray-in. I just was looking at our salt building and estimating some stuff. We used about 800 ton of salt so far this season, with the next round starting tonight. We're out fixing potholes. Right now I'm working on some projects with the county on our road projects, which we're going to have a meeting within the next couple weeks. I have some numbers on some of these bigger projects, Pembroke, Chapman Farm, that kind of stuff. Just want to let the board know that I'm actually going to start searching for a part-timer here shortly, where we can have them as soon as we can get them in here. The contract allows, and just want to let you know, everybody be ready to hold on to your hats. This is going to be a good one coming in tonight. We're supposed to have 40-mile-an-hour winds with it and everything else, so an inch of snow. Looks like a blizzard, so we're a guy down. I have a guy off sick right now, so
I'll plow.
You want to plow?
Oh yeah. You want to help with that? Yeah.
Let's take turns. We'll figure it out.
The biggest thing is what my plan is on this storm is we'll probably come out about 6, 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to salt everything because that's going to be the start of it. Then we're going to back off. We're going to get off the roads, let them be what they are, and probably be back at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. So if anybody gets excited, you know it's coming, but I can't be out till midnight and then try to get the guys back at 4. We got to give, I know we haven't had a lot of snowstorms, but this is kind of what the plan is. I mean, communicating with Roy and them, this is what we're going to do. We'll stay out till about 8:39, and we back off, come back in at 4 or 5 in the morning. So
When they're going to close school down because they have all kinds of days left.
right.
Are they closing school then?
I haven't
Well,
seen it yet, but I'm assuming
we're
they
on
have 4
that.
more days left.
We're on that cut line where it's 1 to 3 inches, but the problem is it's going to be the 40-mile-an-hour winds. That you can't. I mean, I hate to say it, we can't keep it off the roads.
Right.
We can do the best we can, but
Which will mess
that's
up
it.
blessing in the morning, so they will.
Yeah.
So what time you guys gonna be in the morning to plow?
Doing it around 90.
I think I got the flu. I'll be off tomorrow too. But that concludes my report.
Dave, do you have an update on that pipe?
The pipe, James right now, Jim, however he wants to be called this week, but he's on vacation this week. We're gonna meet and talk about that. I talked to Mike Collins. The problem is emergency OPWC funds. We're really not in the ballpark for that because it's not a storm that caused the damage.
Okay.
If the roads start washing away because of a flooding, then you can get into the OPWC stuff. Mike Collins is actually going to talk to the city of Talmadge, the mayor and their road super, I don't know what they call him, the engineer over there too, because he's going to try to get them to pit half of it. So it may be a 50-50 split. The last one I talked to Jim before he left for vacation, he has a concern of us inserting a pipe like we discussed it before, because the problem is he's afraid we're going to cause flooding to the north. Because what's going to happen is we're going to end up cutting the pipe in half. So it's going to slow the flow, which, I mean, I hate to say it this way, it's actually going to cause us a problem with the Oakwood Estate allotment too. Because if this is flooding, not moving fast enough, they're going to flood, and it's going to take twice as long to get their water out there, because we got to wait for the creek to subside some before their water will start releasing. That's one of his concerns. He was going to get a hold of the pipe company too and discuss with them with an insert, even though we grout all the way around it. The pipe companies may not stand by the weight distribution of the pipe inside of another pipe. So it's one of them. It's kind of, we're still collecting information on it. We did get the 5-ton signs up on the road, which, I hate to say it, I don't think it's really diverted to semi-drivers none, because they just come right out of Crystal Parkway, and here we come, because we even put it on Crystal Parkway, we put it on everything for it's there. That's going to be kind of what we're going to discuss too here within the next few weeks, the county, about that and our road projects and that kind of stuff, so.
Does that road falls inside the Kent or the Talmadge Jet?
Talmadge Jet, yes.
John, would that be considered maintenance and fall
Sure.
under the maintenance and improvement fund?
Sure.
Because I hate to slow down our road projects that we had kind of discussed initially, because we have to eat this $250,000
That'll definitely
repair.
qualify to that, because if the
And
road collapses over there and we can't get any traffic through, then screws up our jet.
And I know that that's a piece that we've talked about, is how do we utilize those dollars to the best? Right. Is this an opportunity potentially if we can't get
How
Talmadge
much you
to help
got in
support
that
that?
fund? You guesstimate.
$3 million.
Well, I gave it all to the parks yesterday, so they got it all. $467,000 is what is in there, but we do have obligations for some of that money right now. There's
Right.
probably at least $250,000 that's available. Not that I want to spend it all, but it's not accounted for. It's sitting there.
Right, and then we also have the JED contributions that'll happen this year.
Right.
Okay.
But yes, that is a qualified. I mean,
I'm
this
just
is
looking
definite.
for opportunities,
Right,
because I
right.
don't want to slow down some of these bigger road projects that we had discussed, because I'd like to see us.
Well,
knock some of these out of
with the
park.
road crew department in regards to M&I, they can pretty much get anything they want.
Okay.
It's police, fire, admin that have to fit within the scale, but they can pretty much get anything they want. And if
We can even fund part of it potentially out of M&I. and
But
part
we
out of-
definitely
Sure.
want to encourage Talmadge to contribute.
right,
You don't
we would
want-
like because
Well,
that's
that's-
making money for
right.
them in Crystal Parkway. That's going to shut down their whole.
Right, well, and that's where Mike Collins says he has a good rapport with them. He's gonna talk to the mayor and the road, and he says he's pretty sure he can get them to pitch in.
Okay.
Because I hate to say it this way, I think the 20-foot piece is actually considered theirs. It's in their line of the jets.
Okay, just a quick question. Would you, okay, if it gets to be a safety hazard, are you able to block off that
I'll
road?
shut the road down, yeah. What I'll have to do is,
No, I mean, so that their trucks can't exit or?
well, no, it'd actually be, we're actually discussing even right now, the point of the whole road might be shut down right there, even for car access, if the pipe gets any worse. That's why we're kind of working on this pretty quickly.
Right,
Because we don't want to wait until we do quote unquote have a failure and something happens. If the pipe like Jimmy, like he said, not to quote him, but it could last another year. You know, it just all depends, but by his aspects of looking at something like that, he doesn't want to tell me to wait.
but I mean, if it's an issue now, can you close that exit and entrance to that parkway?
I can close,
You'd have to close Howell Road.
I'd have to close Howell Road.
which would stop-
I can't close
Can't-
Crystal Parkway, but I can
Well,
close
that's
Howell.
Talmadge.
Right.
Well, but Howell Road right there would be us. They would be
Right,
shut.
right.
Well, and the thing is, then everybody be diverted through Portage, Crystal Parkway. You know, also now everybody uses Howard Road to be going, kind of like what they did when they did the sewer project across there for a couple of days.
And also, just to add on to this, remember a couple of years ago how much Talmadge was begging us to be involved and help? Can we do something for you? Blah, blah, blah. This is the perfect time for them to say, you know what, all that money you've collected from the JED, why don't you give some of it back and help us with this huge road project?
Oh yeah, I'm just looking for opportunities
Right.
though, because we do need to move on. I don't want to see it fail.
Right.
Just
And with
somebody
you
on.
being in the Talmadge JED, the JED board, I mean, this is something,
Suez.
or Suez, yeah, this is something you'd have to make sure they understand, because, you know, they always wonder what we're doing with the money.
Right.
Well, it's an eligible expense.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, I mean, like the nice thing is we have a person, kind of like Mike Collins, is an engineer. He has a real good rapport with these guys. So it's not like, you know, we're sending somebody over, say like if I walked in to me and said, hey, Jay, you just need to give me $125,000.
Well, what did you think it was going to cost to fix the whole thing?
They said to do it the right way with box culverts and everything, what we should do in head walls, it's about 225 to 250,000 is what it would cost.
I mean, that's,
If we want to go dig a hole and slap some pipe in there, you know, it might be half the cost, but you may be in the same issue with the semis,
it'd be
you know,
nice if
years
we
from
could,
now.
you know, help this Oakwood Estates too, you know,
Right.
by-
Well, the biggest, yeah, because we don't want to cut the water back any. We want it to move as fast as possible out of that creek before it can open up Oakwood.
Can
a
it be
little bit.
bigger, the pipe, so
Well,
that
and
can
that's
help?
where the box culvert would be. It would move a lot more water.
But if it was bigger, would it help
Well, the
Lorraine
thing,
and all those guys back there?
then you'll flood out
Oakwood
across
Estate.
the street.
No, I just didn't know where it's flooding. If it's flooding somebody's field in the back, but not somebody's house.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
well, the problem is we back up the creek. The creek needs cleaned out through there, but there's nothing I can do about it because it's all private property. It'll help a little bit. It'll move the water quicker. Say we put the box culverts in, the water moves out of the stream faster. Because that has such a head wall of water moving that the water is coming out of the Oakwood Estates is not moving that fast. So it's actually keeping the water in the pipe. It can't merge out with the rest of the water until it starts slowing down, and then the water moves on there. So say we put these box culverts in, which it would move the water out of the creek real fast, and then the water there can escape quicker. If we go with a small, the problem is with the pipe, we can't really go with a bigger pipe unless we'd have to special order it because of it's got to be like an oval pipe instead of a round pipe. That's why it's 59 by 81. It's 59 inches high, 81 inches wide. So if you know what I mean, you turn around and try to cut it back to a round pipe, well, then it's going to slow it down then too. So.
Right. Right. Next.
Plus, I don't have that much room on depth-wise with the road to go with a higher, bigger round pipe.
Yeah, I mean, don't be bashful if you have to close that road. I don't want somebody.
Well, I
to
mean,
get hurt.
we're keeping an eye out. It's actually the worst part of the pipe would be the eastbound lane, the side that's closer to Crystal Parkway. Say the westbound lane is actually, well, the north side of the road is actually not as bad as the south side. So it could become a partial closing if we have to, where it's just traffic can go, head toward Talmadge, but they just can't come back through the other.
But now we have double the traffic on that other side of the road, and it's
Right.
gonna fail real quick too.
Right. So
But you are monitoring it all the
Yes.
time, yeah.
yeah, I go down there every couple of days, make sure there ain't like asphalt slippage, where it's starting to develop a hole. Or,
Right.
like I haven't climbed up in the pipe yet, but that's
I'd
coming.
be afraid to
coming
climb up
soon.
in that.
Well, when me and Jim's gonna look at it when he gets back, we're gonna go up inside it and look at it again to see.
Close the road temporarily.
There you go, you'll be all right. I'll just push Jim and I'll run. But that's where we're at with that right now. I mean,
Okay.
we're still working on all kinds of different avenues with it.
Okay. All right, thank you for that update. Parks and Rec.
All right, just a few upcoming programs. On Wednesday, March 4th, we're going to have a community center open house, so 5:30 to 7:30. So anybody that wants to come and view the center, they can. I didn't have this on the agenda originally. I forgot to add it, so I don't know if you have to add it to the minutes or anything. But on March 14th, we're going to have the Bird Club launch in combination with the Portage Park District. So I'm excited about that. From 8 to 10, we're going to go out and learn about birds and look birds, so that'll be fun. And then on March 26th, I'm going to do the amphibian walk that I did last year that was very successful, so I'm looking forward to doing that again. We got the report back for the lion shelter and the outbuilding at the community center that Charles did the inspection for on the 11th. Basically, his report said that both structures are at the point where trying to repair them would be more costly than just tearing them down and building a new structure. So, did you get a copy of those reports?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you wanted to make a determination about those now or.
Did he have any fear? I didn't read the whole letter of it collapsing at all in any
Um,
parts.
Not. Just that they're really not structurally sound. I don't think they are actively collapsing, but it's,
Well, but he does say in here, this is the concern that we may need to move faster. Please also be advised that based on the physical condition of this structure as it exists today, the township may be subject to potential lawsuits. Types of lawsuits to be including but not limited to personal injury and federal civil rights lawsuits pursuant to the American Disabilities Act, since the building is not 100% handicap accessible.
yeah.
Do we need to have a building permit or a tear down permit
Yes.
if our bulldozer just came and knocked it down?
Through the county. And we are.
So asbestos, is that an
Yes.
issue? So even
He
though it's a
said we
barn,
need
we have to check?
EPA to inspect first, get their approval that there's no asbestos in the building, and then get the permit from if I'm understanding that correctly. Yeah, get the permit from the county.
Is that
and
a hard
then-
project, or is that?
So, I mean, we'd issue a zoning certificate for demo, obviously it's government, and then I would hope that the county would do the same thing back, since it's government to government.
So that would be our permit, and then would we be
No,
allowed
we
to
have to
take
go
our
through the-
bulldozer and just push it down?
Now we have the EPA has to come inspect.
Check.
Yeah, you still have to have asbestos.
We can demo
Is your bird living in there?
You can demo it?
Oh,
No,
no.
we
So
as
we
the
boarded it
Oh, I
up
didn't know
to
what you
make
mean
sure
like
that
a
the
fire
horticulture wouldn't
control
come
burn.
back, so.
Well, I guess could.
Do what? I'm sorry.
I just wondered if you could do a controlled burn on it for a fire exercise.
The outbuilding is too close to the power lines. There are power lines that go,
There's so many
Start
rules
it
now,
and then they go-
they don't allow
Well-
us to do much.
Well, you'd have to check with Edison.
that was
If you
his
could do-
concern,
right.
so.
So both buildings were pretty much the same.
Right.
Well, that one's in the woods too, which would probably
Right.
catch some of the trees on fire, which we don't want to do that.
The problem is, the real problem is when you get a house burned you gotta take the shingles off, you gotta remove the windows, and you gotta get all these permits. By the time you do all that, there's none left. It's not worth burning anymore, so.
Everyone will write it?
Okay, so that's only the burn, so if it's a demolition,
Right, we
the
can do
shingles
that
stay out and
ourselves.
everything?
Yeah, if everything passes.
So for the one on, down at the Etzenwood Park, that shelter, I mean, I haven't read the whole letter, I mean, but that is,
Needs torn down.
needs torn down also.
Mhm.
He was making the statement on that one didn't have to be tore down as fast as you would one at the community center.
Right.
He wouldn't let rentals and stuff like that be used
Right,
in it
right.
anymore, it's just,
And we've definitely taken care of that. But just so we do this in order, Nick, I'm gonna make a motion that we start the initiation of the demolition for the barn behind the community center. So we'll do them one at a time,
Okay, and I will second that for discussion.
just so we go through the right channels to get
For
it done right.
discussion, would you want to add their further recommendation of the research from this Oak Group?
From Charles Corcoran,
I would just call it Oakwood Group,
Oak
because-
Group?
Group.
yeah, or Oak Group Incorporated.
That way they won't say, we look back and say, well, we just sit here and talked about it ourselves.
Right, yeah, that's a good point,
Did it with no backup.
good point. I mean, you know, I read about that electrical system, I mean, by the time you put a whole new system in there, it's ridiculous.
Right.
To do the whole thing.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor for the demolition of the community center barn. All in favor?
Make sure you have the word barn in there,
Yes,
not the
please.
community center.
whoops.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next.
Okay, so now, I'll make a motion that I'm gonna make it in the positive, that we go ahead and, go through the steps to demolish the, former Lions Club, what do we call it?
Lion shelter.
Lion shelter.
house.
Due to advice from the Oak Group.
I will second that motion.
For
The-
For
Further
discussion.
discussion.
For discussion, it's on a concrete pad. Is that concrete in good enough shape that you could use it for like a shuffle thing or anything like that?
It's in very poor condition.
Oh, well then,
It's,
tear it off.
there's
that's
a
what-
large crack in it, and one side's here and one side's
Well, there's
here.
tree
Yeah.
roots growing up underneath.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was the initial concern that we had, was the tripping
Big
hazards.
people tripping.
There's no
Yeah.
flourish.
Right.
That was
Did,
just.
did he
The
say?
only
Go ahead.
concern I have on this one is there any deed restrictions that we're gonna have to rebuild that there? Because it was the Lions Park. There's always been some discussions about what we can and can't do in that park. Do we need to do that deed search real quick like we did on the other
We
property?
could, it was,
Just to do our due
it's very
diligence.
cheap.
I mean, I think it's $100,
Okay.
and the title agency will do a deed search, just to make sure if we demo it, what's the next step we have to do based on
I mean,
on those
what we're gonna
properties.
probably find out is that there's probably no building permits or anything for that. thing.
Well, if we find there's no deed restrictions, then that also allows Dave to do whatever he wants in the future for
Right.
road
That's a good
department
idea.
expansions.
So we'd have to make a separate motion on that.
Yeah.
Well, in discussion too,
So we'll do that after this.
do we need to send a letter to the Lions Club and let them know that it's coming down? Based on the recommendations here, do we need to notify them of anything to keep all those people happy?
I think it might be a good action,
I can-
just because they're gonna hear about it, or
Yeah.
if Cassie, if you wanna reach out to them,
Yeah.
you can supply them a copy of this report.
Now, while we're talking about this, did Charles say anything about that Dave could use it to store equipment and stuff? Or was that,
Well, we can keep using it for equipment storage, but he said he wouldn't recommend it over a couple more, maybe one more winter.
oh, okay.
I really
So,
wouldn't want to put equipment in there. What happens if they hit the side of it with the mower and then the whole roof collapses?
Yeah. Okay.
People are still around the outside of it too. I think it's time for it just to go.
Okay.
well, we just use it for winter storage.
Right.
But
So
the
that's
thing
good.
is, I mean, I hate
So what
to
do
say
you
it this
do
way,
for
if I don't have another building up for winter storage next year, well, this year, or whatever, then I might be hurting to try to find places for mowers and stuff. Cause that's what we store in there in the winter, is just all the mowers out of the way.
Okay,
So we'll have to find some storage or something for Dave.
yeah.
Do we store anything back there in the back of the cemetery?
Cemetery, I got it packed full too.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, everything's
Room and
packed, I
put
don't-
mowers.
just don't have nowhere else to go with
I
stuff.
think it's buying too much equipment.
Yeah, I know. Get rid of some of your equipment.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to demo the Lion shelter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Nick. I'm out of control down here.
I'm concerned about Dave needing it for the mowers. until we can get something put back there to keep that equipment out of the bad weather.
Well,
Should
we're not
also have
gonna-
public
But we're
safety.
not gonna do it right away. I
Yeah,
mean,
that building
Right.
won't be right. The other one's the one he was really
This is
pushing
just-
to get.
This is gonna get
Oh,
us through
the
the
one
winter
that-
This is
season.
Okay.
just starting the process.
All right, then, go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so we have
I
three
will,
yeses. I'd like to make a motion then to do a deed search on the
We have
Lions.
to amend the agenda. So,
Do we need to amend the agenda for that one?
that wasn't on there for a deed search. Let's just do it right.
No, but it's all part of the process.
It's all
It's part of
part
this
of
process.
this, all part of
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to have a deed search completed on the Lions Park to identify any restrictions.
I'll second that.
Craig, can you handle that for that area back there?
Yeah, can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So just for the process for Cassie and myself, deed search, zoning department next, then EPA? As far
So,
as the-
so after you do your deed
And
search, you
yes.
come to, so you'd be doing, once that happens, come to zoning certificate, and then you go through your
Then
EPA
EPA.
stuff as
And
far
then
as
county.
asbestos.
Okay, got it.
Um,
But yes, okay.
I mean.
We do it for the whole park. so
Yeah,
we
and
can
the
just
county
get
has a
that.
whole list that I could forward on that they're gonna need before you get the permit.
Okay.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And then next item, you had asked me to put out a call for grant submissions for the NOPEC community event grant that has previously been given to the Kelso House for the last 2 years. We received 3 submissions total. The first was for the Brimfield Chamber for Brimfest. The second was from the Kelso House for another movie night. And the third was from Portage Park District for a Kent Bog expansion, which is the property on Howe Road. They wanted to do an open house with guided hikes and activities. So I sent you all the submissions. I don't know if you had time to look over those, or if you needed more time to look over them before making a decision.
Which one are you leaning to?
Personally, between the Kelso House and Portage Park District, my only concern with Brimfest is that it doesn't really meet the NOPEC requirements of a free community event.
Just a booth.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't.
There are free activities there, but a lot of it is, paying for rides and things like that. And the idea behind the event is to provide a totally free event that anyone can attend.
So if they did the parks, they would have their employees there for the new park, because I mean, there is a lot of excitement about that new park.
Yeah. So they wanted to hire, a couple of the ideas they had pitched to me is having a speaker talk on some different nature subjects, explaining the habitat, some future plans for the area, guided hikes, concessions, that kind of thing.
But you'd be working with them on that too, right? A little bit, or?
I mean, they're my friends, so
Right.
I'd help them out, but it's really their project. So.
Okay.
Well, I think,
So.
do we want to have her just kind of review them and make a final recommendation
Yeah,
to the next
I think we-
meeting?
Yeah,
I like both submissions, so.
okay.
All right, anything else?
No, that's it.
How are the rentals going?
Very good.
Are they?
Yep.
Have you heard any pushback on us, that the Lion shelter not being open? Anyone giving you a hard time?
I've had 2 or 3 people call and ask if they could make a reservation for, the Boy Scouts use it a lot. The Young at Heart wanted to have their lunch in there, and I just said, oh, sorry, we're no longer renting it out, and I explained why, and they said, okay. So, not really pushback, just
I don't know,
a couple
especially with
questions.
having such a beautiful community center now.
Right, and that's the other opportunity that I offer people, so.
And the Boy Scouts, they just want to spend the night in there?
Yeah, they've spent the night there a few times. They have their Halloween party there every year, so it's just moving them to a new venue.
Chrissy's.
Well, you need to, I mean, I guess they had a great time camping down there in Cranberry Creek.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. They loved it back there.
Yeah, it's very
So,
nice.
Boy Scouts shouldn't be in the house. Tell them to bring their pup tents and go camping.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
That'll move us into cemetery. We have no action under cemetery today. Fiscal office, any action, John?
No action, but I just have a couple comments. The reports that I gave you guys was our 2020 budget. That's going to be submitted to finalize with Portage County, just to kind of give you an estimate of what, we're not an estimate, well, it is an estimate. These are all estimates. Very, very good guess estimate. The appropriations we're almost finished with for everybody. Just to mention with the PD, we're waiting for Chris to kind of come back and give us some input. We're going to finalize that next week.
Okay.
And then Dave just is waiting for Pembroke dollar amounts to come back to finalize his. The parks, the IT, zoning, fire, admin appropriations are all done. So by next meeting, you'll have all the appropriations and we'll be done. But we have a estimated $9,479,182.07 budget for
What kind
2000.
of increase was that over?
It's a lot, actually. We were probably in the low 8s last year, so it was a big chunk.
What
Big
was the,
increase.
what was the big increase on all of this?
Just a lot. We had a fire levy that passed.
Okay.
Our JED dollars have gone up. I mean, it's just the combination of a lot of that stuff. Our other resources have gone up. We've had more zoning permits than we've had in the past, so a lot of those things all build into it.
And fine trustee management?
That's right. That was the number one reason behind it. But if you look on the report, this just breaks it down. And if you guys have any other questions, I don't want to bore you with all this. Just feel free to ask me, and we'll go from
And
there.
we're, compared to what some of those other townships get in the state of Ohio, we're still little small peas.
Right, yeah, there's some townships that are much, much larger.
Yeah, but in Portage County, we're kind of starting to dwarf everybody when it comes to the townships.
Limited home rule. Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have. Just an FYI.
We have an executive session. Before we do that, though, because I know some people don't like to stick around till we're done, you're more than welcome to stick around till after executive session. But I'll give you the opportunity for the good of the order of Brimfield. Any additional public comments?
Well, I would like to know, when is our next work session?
I need to pull that document. I don't have it, but I will send out an email on that.
Two things. I seem to recall in the conversations about recycling that EPA does not require recycling, but it requires it to be available. Is that what I heard?
Correct. The EPA says that you need to provide, and it's not to the township, it's to the county. The county has to 90% access. It's kind of the goal that was set for Portage. Access is not having it picked up. Access is access.
Availability.
Yes.
Okay. Second thing is I agree with the comments about the agenda. I don't pick one of those up because it says the same thing every other week.
Right. Okay. No, we appreciate the feedback. Other comments? Questions, concerns? Okay.
All right, then we're gonna need to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for disciplinary action of a township employee.
So I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Um,
Can we take a 5-minute break real quick?
Yeah.